So you understand what your bolt score is. Now, how do you improve it? So depending on how you did on your bolt score is going to dictate the protocol in which that you implement going forward. So if you're somebody who you were 0 to 10 seconds before you needed to rebreathe, meaning you don't handle being breathless very well, ultimately the greatest benefit is going to be most likely just creating awareness about breathing nose only. So anytime you're at rest, anytime you're sleeping or getting ready for sleep, anytime you're, not talking and you're on a phone call and you're the one that's listening, anytime that you're doing something that's restful, try to be as aware of breathing only through your nose. And then as you need to with exercise or harder outputs, you can go to mouth only, but as quickly as possible, get back to nose only. So that would be like level 1. Level 2 would be staying nose only, and then essentially getting out and training yourself by going for walks, doing something where the intensity is ratcheted up a little bit, but you're still able to stay nose only. And if you're somebody who is like right around the 10-second mark, you're not going to be able to push yourself really hard. Because you're going to have to go to mouth breathing. So you're going to try to match the pace in which you're moving with maintaining the nose breathing. Meaning is you might walk on flat grounds at a leisurely pace and be okay nose only, but as soon as the incline comes up a little bit, you might notice you become very breathless and you have this burning desire to open your mouth to take a breath. I would say slow your pace down so you can stay nose only. You might notice some anxiety bubble up. You might notice that like, I really just want to take a mouth breath. But it's one of those things where by doing that a little bit by a little bit by a little bit, over time you're going to notice that like this very slow pace where you had to really slow down to stay nose only, you're going to realize that you're able to keep that normal pace. And it is one of those things where you adapt pretty quickly. You just need that consistent effort put in to create that. Second thing would be like anytime you're going up and down the stairs in the house, just try to maintain nose only. You might notice too, you're probably somebody who snores at sleep while sleeping, or you have sleep apnea, something along those lines. So it's one of those things where if you can create an awareness around staying nose only while sleeping, which you're probably like, how does that work? It's one of those things where they now make mouth tape. So you tape your mouth shut. Sounds aggressive, but it's basically this special tape with a light adhesive, and it's essentially, again, training yourself to stay nose only. And you probably will fall asleep 5 minutes later, your mouth will open, it'll fall off, and you'll find it in the morning. But over time, you're gonna make it longer and longer and longer, and all of a sudden you're gonna start waking up feeling more and more and more fresh and wondering why everything seems so much better day in, day out. So I'd say nose only all the time and potentially mouth taping. Once you start getting a higher bolt score, then you can start introducing, really starting to push the pace. Maybe you can start a light jog. Maybe you can do some cycling while nose only. Again, buffering the pace to make sure you're only staying so fast as you can maintain that nose only. And then if you're somebody that seems doable, what you can start to do then is you can start going back to like a walking type deal and start implementing breath holds, which again, if you think about a breath hold, you're holding your breath while still moving. You create this buildup of carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide is going to ultimately start to trigger you that I need this need to breathe, and then you'll return to nose only. So you're going to go out for a walk. You might walk, say, 30 steps counting the right foot. You may do a breath hold of 10 steps on the right foot, and then you may return to 30 steps nose only before you do your next breath hold. It's kind of the equivalent of like when you're starting to run and you're trying to build up your capacity, you might walk from one mailbox to the next, run from the next mailbox to the next, and repeat that cycle. You're essentially doing the exact same thing with your breath holds. Now, you can also take and do this while you're at rest. So you can train this. This is where like breath work comes in. So you can do different box breathing techniques, box breathing being where if you envision a box, equal sides, you would inhale for a set duration. So we'll call it 4 seconds for this example. You'd inhale for 4 seconds, you'd hold full of air for 4 seconds, you'd exhale for 4 seconds, and you hold out of air for 4 seconds. You can, as that becomes easy, you might notice like you might start at 3 seconds, and maybe it becomes too easy, you go to 4 seconds, to 5 seconds. So that's the way you can work on that. The other way you can challenge that is you can start doing, again, some cadence breathing, which would essentially be a ratio where it's a normal inhale, a breath hold that would be longer, and a normal exhale. So it's essentially gonna be, say, a 4-second inhale, an 8-second exhale, and then, a 4-second inhale, a 8-second hold, and a 4-second exhale. So you're essentially creating a longer and longer and longer time in the breath hold, but you're still returning to nose only, never letting your mouth open. And it's, again, an easy way to test that. And then you can get into doing different things where, you know, in training, where you might row or you might bike a certain set distance, and then all of a sudden you're gonna implement a breath hold, see how far you can go to really push that. But in order for it to count, you have to return to nose only until you can get back to elongated exhales. So this whole deal is you're trying to create an opportunity to give yourself a lot of stress or stimulus that makes you want to become breathless and makes you want to open your mouth to breathe, and you're then staying nose only. I know I have a running challenge with a friend, but it's essentially, can you go from the basement to the top of the floor in your house all on a breath hold? And it's then like, how slowly can you move while you do that? And then you get to the top of the stairs and you're able to resume nose only breathing. And again, you're disqualified if you open your mouth. And it's one of those things where when you first start, you might get from the basement to the first floor and have to rebreathe. Fine. You might get the next time from the basement to the first floor plus 1 step. Great, progress. You might get from the basement to the first floor plus 3 steps. Great. And then before you know it, you're able to do that whole thing, return to nose only, and you're not even thinking, I need another breath. And that will have a very strong correlation with your Bolt score having improved, which will show that you become less breathless. You're able to do more work before you feel that panicked anxiety in training. You're gonna notice that your breathing is super quiet, super relaxed. You're gonna notice anxiety's down. So well worth playing. So again, just to recap, you're gonna go nose only, especially if you have a low Bolt score. Just become aware of being nose only. Once that is doable and doesn't really require any effort, you're gonna go nose only and then start to ramp up the pace of things while staying nose only. And then once that's good, then you're gonna work on staying nose only and then implementing breath holds while returning to nose only, essentially creating maximum stress that you can handle. And again, you can slowly progress that. Here we go.